This is Radio Ukraine International with the weekly program Doing Business, hosted by me, Rodion Жизневский, and produced by Irina Samsonova. Doing Business covers current economic developments in and concerning Ukraine and gives topical information as well as immediate and longer-term economic forecasts. It is what we think might give you food for thought and help you see Ukraine from the economic angle. All countries in the world are confronted by a common challenge. The lockdown has affected all spheres of our day-to-day life, turned our usual way of existence upside down, and taught everyone, without exception, to live in an entirely new way. The pandemic has had a tremendous global impact on the young generation. All around the world, quarantine restrictions disrupted children's health campaigns last year. As a result, during the holiday season, the number of accidents with children increased worldwide, and a huge number of summer camps had to leave the market. Due to the pandemic, summer camps faced severe socioeconomic consequences and were on the verge of survival. Hundreds of thousands of school children had nowhere to spend their summer vacations and looked for other ways and places, not always safe. The pandemic delivered a hard blow on the system of educational camps and forced their managements to reconsider other options, including online education. However, we should admit that this area is one of the few that have successfully switched online mode. The transition was undertaken by the International Camping Fellowship, ICF. It deals with the problems of internationalization and develops partnerships for joint training programs. These are relevant today for most educational camps across the world. The International Camping Fellowship is the worldwide association of camp education professionals who share their enthusiasm, knowledge, and commitment to the camp and outdoor experience. ICF was founded in 1987 by an inspirational group of camp professionals with the vision of a better world through outdoor experience. Here is the second part of the interview with the fifth president of the International Camping Fellowship, John Jorgenson from Canada. What needs to be done in Ukraine for the association's full-fledged activity, especially during pandemic restrictions?
I must say that I've only been to Ukraine once. It was magnificent. I was able to come and participate in ProCamp, and it was a great experience. I think whenever I travel to new countries, I am blown away by the energy, the enthusiasm of the young people that are coming together to have camp. It's something that should not surprise me, but it does every time. And I've also had an opportunity at Artec to meet members from Leleka, and we had a great discussion about things that are going on. I am not the person to really suggest what is happening in your country at this time. And ICF never tells a country how to organize itself. I can say that just like everywhere else, Ukraine can always benefit from sharing together. And the strength of the association gives strength to every individual member in that association. We have a saying in Canada about camp that really about community, that our competition as an individual camp is not the next camp. It's not any other camp. Our competition is all of the things in a country that prevent children from going to camp. If we could get all of the children in your country ready to come to camp, then every one of your camps would be full. And you would need more camps. So the most important thing is how can the camp community convince educators and government officials and the public at large that the camp experience is an important experience for every child in your country. If you can stand together and do that, then all of your camps will be full, and all of your camps will be strong, and all of your camps will be a great example to those educators and to the policymakers.
Is there any experience in other countries of working with children during pandemic using the internet, radio, and television?
Is your program you could always do that. I think you would be hard-pressed to find any camp director who feels that online is better than in person. We all know that the very best experience is when you can bring the community together. And so we are all waiting and all hoping and all working to have that time when we can welcome children into our camps again. In Canada, we were restricted by some government decisions and not able to operate camps at all. We are very hopeful that this summer we can follow the example of some states in the United States, from Mexico, and from a number of other countries that have been able to have in-person camps. Some camps have packed physical things into boxes and sent them to people so that they have camp in a box and then can participate in online craft programs or online activities. Some camps have developed one-way sharing information about camp. Some have formalized and had a full-on registration and created a virtual camp experience. For the children that participate, it's a valuable way to stay connected and to plan for the next time when we can meet all together. But certainly, I mentioned earlier the ICF Academy. We have had 3 presentations so far, and each of those presentations is now recorded and is available as a webinar series. And I am often engaged with podcasts and other interviews about camp. And certainly there are a number of camp events that are being brought into the virtual realm. I have participated most recently in the American Camp Association National Conference, which was all virtual. There are a number of podcasters who are doing live conferences. These are excellent ways that people can maintain their education and learn more about camps.
Crisis or no crisis, plans must be made. High school students are facing a difficult choice of their future occupation and prepare for university entrance exams. It is especially difficult for those who plan to get a higher education abroad. In your experience, are there any student camps under ICF that prepare teenagers specifically for entering well-known universities?
The connection between camps and enrollment in a university is not a strong one. And I feel very strongly that being at a camp is a great preparation for going to university, whether it's learning the language of the country or meeting people in an informal setting or just getting over jet lag. If you can be in a setting that is informal, then you can get your feet on the ground, so to speak, and become more comfortable for a formal school experience. So having said that, when a student chooses a country, then I would certainly recommend that if possible, they consider, how can I travel and get comfortable in that country before I begin my university time? And if that can be at a camp, then it is one of the very best ways that they can learn new things and just get over the strange things of a country and create relationships that can help them during their university time.
And with that, we thank Mr. Jorgenson for the interview and wish him all the best with such a hard but responsible and important mission. You're listening to Radio Ukraine's weekly program Doing Business, hosted by me, Rodion Жизневский, and produced by Irina Samsonova. As we mentioned earlier, entering a university in a foreign country is also becoming a troublesome venture. Many Ukrainian students and their parents now have doubts about studying abroad, which they planned before the pandemic. And that is the subject of the second part of our program. Olexander Tarchenko, Chief Executive Officer of the DE Group, an education agency that sends Ukrainian students abroad, will tell us about the current state of international study for Ukrainians.
Hello everybody, I'm Tarchenko Olexander, and I'm co-owner and CEO of the DEC group of companies. I'm educator myself. I'm entrepreneur and visionary. What I do, I just try to change the Ukrainian educational landscape for better.
How do our school graduates enter universities in foreign countries during the pandemic? Could you tell us about the enrollment process in the most prestigious universities?
I think this whole situation with coronavirus and quarantine actually affected the industry a lot. And we've seen the significant changes on the market, sometimes for worse, sometimes for better, to be honest. And overall, these changes affect those who travel, those who are going to study abroad. We actually see the big shift in comparison to other year, that this year we are more optimistically see the future, and some short-term trips as well as long-term, like private boarding schools and higher education students. I think this year they will be able to study abroad. And we actually work quite actively with parents and families and kids on this preparation. We are preparing them for tests, for exams, and for enrollment process as well. So I think last year was a difficult one, but I think we'll catch up within the year or two, the whole situation. And actually, it is international business. And our role in this process is actually to assist the families, the parents, in order to create this educational pathway to university, make this process as smooth as possible, and find the most convenient way for all parts. I think the biggest changes in the field of these new regulations, whether you are vaccinated or not, whether you pass the tests or not. So vary from country to country, try to monitor this process. What makes this process more difficult, this is constant changes. So sometimes we see this, like this country change the entry rules. This country is still closed. So some countries are still closed. We look optimistically in the future, but at the same time, we are ready to accept that this process will take longer than we want or wish. I personally expect that this year was kind of a gap year, but definitely there'll be some acceleration in the nearest future. The reason is that kids are growing up constantly, and the places the universities are nearly the same, or good universities actually accept like a definite number of students. So you need to be the better one. It means that for some universities, there'll be more people on one place than in previous years.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not that strong competition between students to get the free place in prestigious university.
Will increase, I would say, which is actually, again, for me, it's this kind of crisis situation are kind of clearance of the market. So it's like a sanitary measures, I would say. I felt this when I visited some big international events on education, but this educational market was already kind of bored and laid back and relaxed. And so it means that it is a key to refresh a little bit, refresh your
something
strategy.
Essential changes.
Yeah, sure. It's like seasons of the year. It's constant. There are changes, and you always adjust. And this is for good and bad, I would say.
Has the average price of a university course changed because of the pandemic?
I like to repeat that Corona or all this situation is actually accelerated some of the issues or some of the changes. What I mean, we've seen this process when even the top universities accept the students without diplomas. Top universities were ready to accept them, at least. Now with the situation, we see UK is actually canceled the tests. I would like to say here that the UK is considered as the most test-oriented. I mean, they keen on tests. They kind of are crazy about the tests.
Right.
So they have a numerous regulation on this and that. And so this very over-tested country. But even them, they canceled this official test for kids because they couldn't organize this process properly. So they canceled. So I mean that during these years, and taking into consideration that these changes in the educational landscape, as I told before, I think we've seen the more kids-oriented approach. Less general, more individual. Nowadays, universities is actually focused on the top students as well. So top universities want to get this right match. Of course, they need to adjust some of their policies. Of course, they need to find the better solutions, new solutions, and even test them somehow. So I think this year will be kind of transition year. They will look at these changes and then try to get used to some of them and try to change some regulation as well, because you cannot be very conservative under such circumstances. So I think this year will be a game-changing year. As for us, for example, we're going to create kind of our own rules. I would say that in order to deal with parents and families and differently, in order to prepare them in advance to different situations, including some similar to these unknowns, as we sometimes say, that you cannot predict everything in our life. So we need to get ready to, at least, to be ready to change our strategy, to be ready to adjust some next moves to the current situation, let's say. So, when we can see this long-term strategy, even if it will take a 3-year distance, I would say, or time, you will find that there won't be that significant changes. I think the changes definitely will be, but overall, the kids and parents which are going to study abroad, they will go there. I would like to add that take this situation more with long-term perspective. Look at this situation more from 3-year point of a point of view. So, and it will definitely gives you more flexibility and more openness to make a bolder decision, I would say, or be open to change your strategy. I think it works better when you kind of extend your horizon or your decision-making horizon.
How is the online process going?
As language schools, we actually implemented such an online transformation. And now we have our own platform for that. And now we train teachers to use it. But there are different perspectives, different view on the same issue. You cannot transfer offline to online and expect the same results. It's completely different approach to the study process. And the online is more about engagement. Online is more about the attention and how you
practice something tangible.
Yes, something. So it's different approach. You cannot just easily have same teachers and have same program and just do this online. It doesn't work that way. So it took some time for us, and I think we are not unique in this situation. This is a good opportunity as well. Accessibility of this program, online programs, they actually, again, you can afford, you can buy it, you can use it, you can learn, and it's mutually, benefited, I would say, from the universities as well. They can save some money, they can make programs cheaper as well. Another side of this coin is that it is good for client, which is fine, but on the other side, it is bad for some educators because the revenues is lower, competition is worldwide. So it's mixed. This online-offline situation is actually, again, should be clarified and clarified somehow, or
to clear steer the educational world, we could say.
And it will take some time. And again, for example, now we are developing a program with Eton School, the famous British traditional conventional school. And they has created a number of courses on skills development. And now they promote it using this COVID-free kind of things. And which is great, I would say. You can use this opportunity. And as a company, we started to cooperate with some of our partners from the UK, from the USA. And we have lessons at our school Like a private school, we have lessons with a history teacher from States, which is nice. So we got used to Zoom and Skype, and then we use it for our internal meetings, external negotiations, for study process, which is actually nice. And we started to, kids from the school started to talk to kids from other schools, which is actually good as well. So this is like a...
Sometimes it's even more cooperation than it was before.
Yeah, and even peer-to-peer learning. I mean, that's great. Then they use language and they practice, and this is like a kind of cultural studies.
Continuing the first part of our program about the process of entering foreign universities, could you tell us more about the BEO Master's program from Oxford International Education Group?
Very good question. Thank you, John. Yeah, we consider the British Olympics as a unique product. And as a school, we actually got ready for that in advance, I would say, because we understand that the English is the language you first have to, we say, like English kids love and English kids use. So we divide the language, like study process, into two parts. First, we try to make them love English and then make them use. So not make, maybe just to find a more sophisticated way.
To help them understand why they like it.
To help them, yeah. And BEO, British English Olympics, is a the program when they prepare for half of the year to debates and presentation, the teamwork, and then they have 2 weeks of competition in the UK where about 2,000 kids from all over the world, teams from the schools, present their cases, take part in different activities. So they use language as a tool. They use language for competitions. You have to defend and attack and then cooperate. It's more about the bigger involvement, bigger passion. It's more passionate program than just ordinary studying language and some activities as well. I like this. And what we did, we created National English Olympics. We realized that this is a good starting point for the British English Olympics, and its competition helps kids to or switch on sometimes their motivation, and they more actively participate, and this teamwork helps to collaborate, so they create their own project as well. So they learn different worldwide issues like ecology and sustainability. They use this as a platform for learning. It's not only about language, but it's like, again,
initial
level up. Yes, initial, and they level up for their skills as well, like for skills development.
Under the current restrictions, education has mostly gone online, but students still have the opportunity to study abroad. Education is not tourism, so most countries continue issuing student visas. It is up to a student to decide whether to go or not. The pandemic undoubtedly affected everyone, but as far as education abroad is concerned, one can just as well find some positive aspects, such as lower competition that gives more chances to enter a foreign university. Fewer students now, fewer graduates in a few years, which means a prospect advantage in the labor market and additional career opportunities. And of course, there are more discounts and scholarships that save a lot of money. That was Radio Ukraine's weekly program Doing Business, hosted by me, Rodion Жизневский, and produced by Irina Samsonova. Thanks